So over the weekend, while I was doing Roach Zepeda and you were doing your thing, this whole Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis fiasco and saga came to a head as Keyshawn Davis wound up withdrawing from the purse bid that was going to give him a little over $2 million to fight Keyshawn Davis. And that leaves me in a position that's kind of similar to your friend Dave Chappelle when he was at the Player Haters Ball. And that is when he said, Buck Nasty, what more could I say about that coat that ain't been said about Afghanistan? And I say that because right now, in a similar vein, I feel like, Raheem, what could I say about Keyshawn Davis ducking Devin Haney that ain't been said already? And I say that because, man, I feel like everyone's already said all the things. Keyshawn ducked him. Keyshawn Davis, having the businessman, is one of the worst and most ironic nicknames right now going after this whole fiasco. But you guys have all either said that yourselves watching or have heard other people say it. So I don't know. I don't really know what to say. So I'm just going to pass it to Raheem because I don't like just repeating what everybody else said. I want to come up with some new shit.
I love the Player Haters Ball as much as you do, but we don't player hate on this side. I would say don't hate the player, hate the game. Everybody is taking the piss out of Keyshawn Davis. He deserves to get taken to the woodshed because it's super fucking annoying to watch this unfold. It's contradictory. It makes very little sense if your objective is to fight. Because I was told that fighters fight. And as long as I've been in this business, that's one of those tried and true idioms. That's one of those things that is in the foundation of every conversation when it boils down. There's a lot of ways to duck a fight. There's a lot of excuses you can put forward. One of them is to price yourself out of a fight. You know, another one of them is to miss weight by so many pounds that you just couldn't possibly justify putting a fight on. There are multiple ways for a boxer who doesn't want to fight to get out of a competition. And so we've seen both of those things now, it appears, from Keyshawn Davis. And then on top of that, one way to get out of a fight is to be a felon. Let's just start fighting outside of the ring. Let's make it difficult to get you in the ring because maybe you got court dates, or maybe we can't get insurance for you, or maybe you're just not marketable because you're a loose cannon and you could possibly turn this lobby or this basement into a melee. There's all kind of ways you can keep yourself out of the ring. The difference is back in the day when you would do those things, you were out of the ring, and that meant you were out of the conversation. That meant that you had no recourse. That when people are talking about the brand being damaged and, Keyshawn is really put himself, the bad businessman, he's out a businessman. That's not the modern day. He's playing a different game. I'm not even suggesting that maybe it's not even as conscious as it could be, but we're assuming that this is all because he actually wants to fight or actually wants more money. The reality of the moment is that fighters aren't about fighting right now. That's why Shakur's not making any sense. That's why Keyshawn's not making any sense. They're about making money and keeping their name out there. I'm in the United Kingdom. I travel all over the world covering this boxing. I was at a barbecue earlier today. I was at the barbecue, and the white guys at the barbecue, all they wanted to talk about was Joshua Fury. They want to talk about the whack fight. They want to talk about the Pringa fight. They want to talk about what happened to Joshua. Is that fight happening? I mean, okay, that's expected. Now, I got a call from you. We had to rush home so I could get this show up about the post-fight on Zepeda. And on my way home, a black Brit with a Jamaican accent, heavy, was passing me going the opposite direction. I'm hustling so I can get back and we can jump on. What going on, man, with this Keyshawn? What happening, man? When the fight come in? I've never, in all my days, had anybody in this country say anything to me in any way about Keyshawn Davis. Because they don't know this guy. He's nobody until he became somebody as part of this soap opera.
See what you did.
Why is Shakur all over Twitter? Why is Shakur responding to me in the Ring Magazine comment section? The only one. I take that because maybe he respects the show, whether he would admit it or not.
How could
But
he
he's
not?
out there talking. They're all about keeping their name out there as part of the conversation, and that is value. They're not trying to win fights, bro. They're trying to win arguments. They're trying to remain relevant in the conversation. And what we've seen of these recent years, that's rewarded. We talked about, not just you and I, but the broader boxing worlds, when they weren't punished for speaking up, talked about, well, what would the repercussions be of this Ring Magazine era? What's going to happen if you keep overpaying these fighters? If Turkey keeps stepping in and making fights that seem unmakeable because the money doesn't make sense, but he wants to see the fight. What's going to be the fallout of that? What is this early days, Ryan Garcia, when he was hanging out with the Pauls and wasn't very good at boxing? Fast, good, hard left hooks, but social media darling. Getting big paydays, getting big fights because so many people know him. And what did they say immediately? It's because he's got a fan base. Look how many followers he's got. We could put Ryan anywhere in any fight, and he's going to make the numbers. So he gets the big fight. Why is he fighting Conor Benn? Because Conor Benn's that good? Because Conor Benn is bringing hardware to the table? Because Conor Benn is at the same level or has demonstrated? No. That Conor Benn fight is huge because Conor Benn brings a following. These guys believe that has the same value of winning a fight. Keyshawn thought he was going to make more money because he's not calculating his own worth as a boxer. He's looking at how much is this fight worth. And this is why I say don't hate the game, because he might not be wrong. How much is this fight worth to Top Rank to put on a show like that? We already have said, and most people agree, not everybody, but most people agree that while the Keyshawn Davis fight is not as challenging as Shakur Stevenson for Devin Haney, it's probably going to be more entertaining. It's probably a fight that'll be more exciting. Probably a fight that we'll enjoy watching. If he can say that this is the fight the network needs, if this is what DAZN needs, if this is what Devin needs, he needs a big fight. He needs a fight people are going to talk about. They need a network fight that people are going to be like, hey, DAZN's worth the money. These are big fights. Or they're going to need Turkey to step in and hear all this sewing circle gossip and rumors and Twitter wars and keyboard beefs and be like, I want to see the fight. Somebody wants to see the fight bad enough. Somebody wants to take the credit for putting the fight on, and that's how you get your money. That's the lesson of this era. It's not what it used to be. We're all thinking about this in the way boxing used to be. We're in a different time now, and there's tons of evidence as to why that is. That's what Keyshawn is playing. And while he may have overestimated his value if you're looking at him as an individual fighter, has he overestimated the value of the fight? Can he get another $500,000 out of Top Rank so Top Rank can put him in this fight? And if he wins that fight, he gets an extension, or they get an extension out of him for being a world title holder under their reign. Do they want to lose Keyshawn to Zuffa? Do they want to put on 2 more fights that are good fights that we'll enjoy talking about and may enjoy even watching, but aren't going to move the needle?
What if they try to shelf him for this?
Is that in their best interest? Do they have now, like they used to at one time, have so many fighters that they can shelf somebody that people want to see? No. That's what he's banking on. Yeah. Top Rank is not in a position to start shelving fighters, even if they're pissed off. It's not in their best interest. It might be in DAZN and Top Rank's best interest to go halvesies. All right, I'll put in 250, you put in 250. Let's get this loudmouth in the fucking ring. We need the fight. You know what I'm saying? He's out on his porch talking about talking for an hour. Nonsense. But what does that do? We're part of it. We're guilty of it. We're eating it right now. It keeps the whole everything buzzing. And nobody's fought anybody. Tank Davis is an example.
Just talking.
Yes, they're winning arguments. They're trying to win arguments. They're trying to keep arguments going. This is some feminine shit.
We don't have to fight. Our fans can fight on the internet. It's 2026.
Yes, and we can go at the critics. We can have Twitter beefs with the analysts and the pundits, and they think that coming on your show, that's capital. That for them is them doing you a favor. And how many times have we heard that? That, a guy coming on our show is doing a favor. Bill Haney doing the rounds, he does the talking for Devin. So, and Devin, the difference is Devin does the fighting. Devin had approached this fight game with the old school mentality. He took the short
scenario,
money.
Deebo was a joke to people at first. Now they're legitimately saying he's Deebo Devin Haney. That is what this PR war, in addition to actually getting in the ring with a dangerous athletic puncher and Brian Norman, who now people are shitting on, like he wasn't a threat, but he was. That's why it was 50-50 at the books. That's why he came off a knockout of the year. Oh, Jin Sasaki sucks. Jin Sasaki was ranked in the top 5 or 6 at welterweight by the ring. And so was Santillan, who he also knocked out. So in addition to what he did last November in the ring, this PR war he's winning outside the ring has actually made him Deebo Devin Haney.
And he and Devin Haney has both sides covered. Bill is a great talker and actually a good businessman. Devin is a damn good, he's a hell of a fighter. Devin is a hell of a fighter. And he approached this fight game with the throwback mentality before the Ring Magazine era. He was the last of them to really be like, you know what? I'll take the short money. I take the travel. I take the rematch, mandatory rematch clause, all these things. I'll take the Lomachenko fight, regardless of what you think about how that decision came down. He took that fight. Like, he has established himself as that guy. And now what does Keyshawn say? They're chasing me. They're chasing me. I would be embarrassed to say they're chasing me. Why are they chasing you? You're the one with the brick. Why are they chasing you? For him, that's clout. Oh, you're chasing me. I'm winning the fight. I'm winning the argument because you need me.
Talked about this in the last 24 hours. I was busy. Keyshawn's been talking about this the last 24.
I'm talking about him on his porch. I'm talking about the last time he was really talking.
Right. I never asked for you guys to mention my name and.
Why is Bill in my DMs and they're chasing me?
Right. Okay.
And how I'm going on vacation. That gives him more gas, bro. Like the fact that you go silent, which is what Shakur did also, and they call that negotiating, which is a negotiating tactic, but it gives them an idea of how bad people want them in the moment. And that is how you overinflate your worth when people are chasing, when people are trying to get you to agree, when people are trying to get you to the table and you hold back. It's like chasing a girl who thinks that you want her that bad. All of a sudden, it's difficult to get her. She's playing, they're playing hard to get, but they're playing, bro. They're playing. And right now, the more we talk about this, the more air we give this balloon, this hot air, we're being played.
So you think the fight's actually going to happen? That's what you're saying.
I think the fight could happen. Yeah. I don't think the fight is dead. I think that he now needs to save a little face, get a little bit more money than $3 million. I think it actually is in Top Rank and DAZN's best interest to have this fight because, okay, lay out the other options. They're not terrible. I'm not saying that nobody's got any place else to go, but if you could imagine.
Make a Frank Martin option. I'm not listing them in order, but option 1, shelf him, fuck him for blowing weight in Virginia, and now putting us through this. So, shelf him. Option 2, match him with Frank Martin, take it from there. Risk him, walking away without a title fight extension, and then he goes off to Zuffa. Or option 3, talk to DAZN, see if or Turkey. Go to a sugar daddy, see if they'll throw a little something. go to Keyshawn and go, all right, you just want $5 million after Jay Prince takes his 25 or 30%. What if we get you $3 million after that? What if we give you 4 instead of the 6 you want to walk away with 5, and we give you 4 and you walk away with 3? You actually walk away with 3 then. And if this, I guess that's another option. This is also, but real quick, to be fair to Ring though, this isn't something they brought about. Heyman began by overpaying fighters. Eddie Hearn followed him, and now we get into the Turkey Al-Sheikh era. I definitely think Keyshawn, he perceives himself as on the Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and even beyond that, maybe Gervonta Davis. Probably not, but in terms of economics. But he perceives himself on their level because he's very talented like they are, but he has accomplished, compared to them, virtually nothing. 1 belt against Denis Berinchyk, but they're getting, their purses are inflated. But not only are you not worth what they're worth, but their worth has been bloated and it has been paid over market value as well. So it's a double whammy. You're not actually anywhere near as accomplished or deserving of what they've commanded in the game. And even then, they're overpaid too, so it's a double whammy. But
it's a different game. He's not calculating wins or opponents or resumes. It's an attention economy.
Right.
That's what they're vying for.
And he's
measuring himself against
he's one of the participants getting all the attention in it.
He's measuring himself against Shakur. He's measuring himself against Devin in attention. Remember a few shows ago, maybe even over a month ago, when I talked about, I kind of like how Keyshawn is going about making his little reels for the gram, and he's being entertaining, and how we talked about how he was trying to bully Abdullah at that presser, and he's making like funny videos. And I was like, I like this guy. This guy is entertaining. He's making it fun, and he is. Even him on his porch, as annoying as it was still entertaining. It's attention that he's getting, and those bits, the things that he's investing in, as opposed to making weight, is what he is feeling like is upping his value. So now I recognize that he's making a conscious investment in that, because he sees fighters being rewarded for that. You see the Garcia-Haney fight. Garcia was unhinged leading into that fight. Only made the fight bigger. Right up until the Friday night before the fight, there was rumors, is this even going to happen? He came in overweight. There's a lesson in that, and still was allowed to fight. Came in and put on a show that, even though, he ended up being penalized for the what was in his system, and ultimately even the result of the fight was eliminated, he still has that etched in everybody's mind. That's what Ryan Garcia is still bragging about, those highlights. And he got himself and Ryan Garcia a massive payday, and another one looming in the distance whenever he wants it, really, based on attention. Terrible types of attention. Teofimo Lopez being racist, sending out bananas, being a fucking fool. Attention. He got the Shakur fight big time. Now, granted, these guys have all accomplished more than what Davis has done at this point, but he's learned the lesson that if you can win the attention war, you don't have to do nearly as much in the ring. And he's holding out for not just the value he estimates himself as having because we're all chasing him, but because if you don't win this fight, you don't want to have sold your O, if we're going to hearken all the way back to the Mayweather conversation, for less than it's worth. It's a different mentality, bro. It's all about how much we can get, and it's not legacy. It's not the medal of a warrior. It's not even the competition for credibility in the ring. It is the economy of attention and who can pay or is willing to pay you to do for them what you performing will do. If it means a bigger fight for DAZN, if it means Top Rank putting on a big show and potentially getting a world title in their stable, if it means them making a better fight instead of two fights that are just going to get insider boxing contention, it may be worth another $250 for them. It may be worth another $250 for DAZN. It may be worth $500,000 more. It is all that he cares about. Clearly, Shakur, he beats Teofimo and he's stringing the Haneys along. Devin actually wants to fight. Bill wants to talk. So what are we doing? Bill's doing a hell of a lot more talking right now than Devin's doing fighting.
Yeah, and as good as this comes out for Devin Haney, looking good, they don't put Duck 12 on the box rec. He deserves credit for calling Keyshawn Davis's bluff, for being genuine and ready to defend his title against back-to-back undefeated, offensively gifted fighters in Brian Norman Jr. and Keyshawn Davis. Young guys with, some twitchiness and punching power. But ultimately, they don't put Duck 12 on there. It's a footnote. There are worthy footnotes in boxing history. Riddick Bowe, Duck Lennox Lewis. But Lennox Lewis doesn't have Riddick Bowe on the resume. So Haney deserves credit for that. But he hasn't actually beaten either of them in the ring through no fault of his own. You told Shakur Stevenson. And by the way, the one thing I do push back on is I don't know if this is all really coordinated by Keyshawn Davis. This could just be a guy with some entitlement, a little bit delusional about his worth. That remains to be seen. Because if, to your point, he gets a little bit something extra that makes him happy with what the money he's getting in this fight actually does go through, which obviously we should all be very skeptical of at this point, then he wasn't too delusional in his self-worth. It worked. This game of leverage worked. But if not, it's a really, really bad look. And but you said about Shakur Stevenson, you told him on Twitter, yesterday's weight is not today's weight. And that kind of went over his head. And you are so right. From the jump street, I said, look, if you want to prove you're pound for pound the best, like you say you are, like so many fighters and pundits believe you are, then you fight him at 147 and you beat him at 147. If you're giving up 10 or 15 pounds, like Floyd Mayweather did against De La Hoya, like Crawford, who had to come up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo Alvarez, you do that because what were each of those guys? They were pound for pound. And if not, then stop. He's trying to hashtag 144, and it's perfect little irony that Twitter won't even allow that to actually be a hashtag. He keeps going, you cannot hashtag numbers alone. So Twitter literally won't allow a hashtag 144 to be a thing. Even Twitter, in its mathematical processes, is saying that's not a thing, Shakur. And so he's trying to do it anyways. Look, his punishment for this should be it's 147 or shut up. That's it. And I know there's still a lot of fans saying, like, well, no, but, the size difference. And I get all that. If you want to still fight at lightweight or 140 pounds, go ahead. But stop trying to do this catch weight and maybe even behind that a rehydration clause and all. Either you want to fight Haney at 147 and beat him like you were talking about fighting Conor Benn at that weight, and you were quoted in previous interviews saying, I literally don't give a fuck if I'm giving up that weight because I know I'm the best fighter in the world. Well, it's put up or shut up. And Lamont Roach losing last night takes another option off the table. So what's it going to be? Is it going to be Rayo Valenzuela? Is it going to be I don't know. But yeah. And by the way, shout out to Shakur. Him doing what he did to Zepeda aged very well last night. No one's doubting how good Shakur is or how, that he's a great fighter. But Devin Haney's a great fighter too. And if you want to fight him at his best, beat him at his best. And that kind of statement will make you number one pound for pound like you're talking about. Something like that.
The fact that British black Jamaican man shouted me down as I was hurrying by him about Keyshawn Davis, what that demonstrated to me is that with all of these shenanigans, all this so-called brand damage and the out of business man, what the truth is is he's made this fight bigger. If the fight goes through now, it's bigger now than if he had accepted the $3 million offered to him and none of this had happened. That is reality number one. Now, I don't know the man and whether or not he has mastermind and calculated all of this, but I do think, and I think that's unlikely to be fair, maybe I'm the one really getting my Magneto on, but I do believe that the motivation for him behaving this way is this.
Yes.
Okay? The Devin Haney of it all. The second thing that you said around what was the second thing that you said after that?
About they don't put the ducks on the box rec. It's a worthy footnote, but they don't go on it. There is no W12 TKO RTD. There is no duck, and then in the little 2-line sentences they show where they would have the scorecards and who was the judges. They don't go like Keyshawn offered $3 million fight L. You know.
Yeah. Oh no. Here's
W.
You say it's the weight thing, the 144 situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yesterday's weight is not today's weight.
Yesterday's weight is not today's weight.
That's your punishment for this bullshit. 144 out the window.
It's not punishment, man. It's never been about that. And when I said, hey, 144 is not a thing. This guy wants to win the welterweight title. It's got to be the 47 limit. And you correctly said, well, you can fight at 44 and still win the welterweight title. And I'm like, well, you can't. It ain't a 144 title. Well, technically you can maybe agree to that. Well, all you've won is the fight. But
Floyd did it against Canelo. It's like you're not Floyd Mayweather in 2013.
Exactly. My man, all of these goalposts being moved, and how did Devin and Bill counter that? They said okay, which to me is a bluff call, because at that moment, the fight's made. And the fact that the fight wasn't made just lets you know that what's Shakur doing? Perpetuating the conversation. He thinks that he's going to put something out there that they're not going to agree to, and that just continues the argument. That continues to build the clout. That continues to make people thirsty for it. That's how you get a bigger number on from Zuffa. You build this anticipation. You build people like us talking about this nonstop. You're all over Twitter. It seems to be everything that everybody is talking about. It's the biggest news in boxing, so surely to follow that any fight you're in is going to be the biggest fight in boxing. But is that really true? Or is this the attention
arguments
side
and online
of the economy?
Fans really translate to that much more money. At the
Sean, you got Shakur rooting for Roach. Now, what you just said, right? Well, it's making Shakur's fight and his win over Zepeda look really good, because as good as Zepeda looked over Roach. But that's not what Shakur was rooting for, that his win over Zepeda would look really good and that it would prove how good an opponent he beat a year ago. He wants to fight the guy who would beat the opponent that would make him look good. And ultimately,
it's a win-win, Raheem. Let me support my buddy, and if he wins, maybe we can make a fight. But if he loses, then I can take all the credit for how good Zepeda looked, which he did.
But he's openly calling for that fight, right? He wants that guy who ultimately did lose the fight, who got a draw, granted, caveat, draw, would take. Roach is at the Zepeda fight level. Why is Shakur calling for that fight? Why is he telling Devin now that he should be fighting Boots? He's just talking, man.
Can I say something about that, please?
Yes.
I got to borrow his line. There was, when Teofimo was getting ready to fight him, or hum, as Shakur says, when he was getting ready to fight him, and he was saying about Keyshawn Davis, and you guys are brothers, and that's hurting boxing, and he was like, why do you keep talking about Keyshawn? Like, you're not fighting Keyshawn. You're fighting me. See, that's what's going to get you fucked up. You're thinking about another fighter, another man, you know, stay off his dick. You're fighting me, right? And it's like, well, why are you bringing up Jaron Ennis and Xander Zayas? No one's talking. That's not the topic of discussion right now. It is you and Devin Haney. So Yeah, bring it up. Why don't you fight? You get same point. Holding true. I'm using his logic
because it's
there.
just another line of discussion. While he's not fighting anybody at the moment, he's over there sitting on a big bag with Zuffa and no opponent. The name of the game is to keep people talking about you. And if you can dictate what other people talk about, then you're at the center of everybody's conversation. That's the new game. That's what's being played, and that's what's being rewarded. You're right, not just by Ring Magazine, not first by Turkey Al Sheikh, not only for Tank, not only for Ryan. This is a perfect storm that has come about our shores. This is the collection of all of those things that have now become the prominent way that fighters think of how to maximize their earning potential. This is what the fallout of all of that is. Right now, Keyshawn is looking for somebody to come in and save this show. I don't believe he's ducking Devin because he's afraid of the fight. I believe he's looking for somebody to come in and save the show for their own interests, and he can benefit from that. And as long as the conversation continues to be had, the truth is the fight continues to get bigger. The more people get involved in the conversation, the more people that are aware of the fight potential, the more people that have opinions about it when the fight and if the fight is made, the more people that are going to be watching it, buying tickets for it, paying for the pay-per-view, and making it bigger than it once would have been.
Should I save her? I want to be saved. Sorry. Here's the thing. Last one for me. You say Shakur doesn't have an opponent, but Max Kellerman has something else to say about that. You ready? Rayo Valenzuela is the biggest puncher that Shakur Stevenson has ever fought. And you know who gave Shakur his toughest... William Zepeda did a great job, but you know who gave Shakur the toughest fight if you go by the numbers of the scorecards? Edwin De Los Santos. And do you know who Rayo Valenzuela just iced with a sensational knockout? Edwin De Los Santos. Joe, Andre, we got a better than expected fight.